With Chapter 78 out of Dragon Ball Super, we finally get a look into the Heater's plan to take out both Granola and Frieza, and are left with some answers but ultimately more questions going forward about Bardock, his role in Granola and Monaito's safety, and his conflict and seemingly his victory over Gas. Let's begin. Our chapter begins in the ship of the Heater Gang, where Maki receives a call from Oil that the Saiyans and Granola have stopped fighting. After relaying the info to Alec, he knows the Namekian in question must be Monaito, and that he knows better than to meddle in his affairs. Gas decides that they should head that way, and just kill them all. Maki agrees, saying that they must all be weakened from fighting. Alec agrees, and tells them to head that way and deal with them, while he goes off to summon the dragon. Maki gives the radar and the spell to summon the dragon, but before going their separate ways, Alec tells Gas that his wish will be fulfilled, only for Gas to say that he doesn't really need it, and that he's plenty strong as is. Alec insists that this is the only way to achieve their goals, and that they need him to be the strongest. Gas relents, and they're off to the battlefield. We pan back to the battlefield to see the Saiyans, Monaito, and a shocked and frustrated Granola with the revelation his mother was slain by Alec, and that Monaito still had him work for the Heater Gang. Monaito tells him it was the only way for their survival, but Granola is much too hurt and betrayed to listen, dropping to his knees, knowing he's been used for decades. Before Granola can continue mourning and grieving the loss of his mother, Vegeta interjects and asks about the outcome of Bardock and Gas's fight. Monaito tells him that Bardock won the fight, and without that victory, they would not have survived. We see a happy-looking Goku who is glad to hear of his father's victory, but in typical Vegeta fashion, he lets the group know that Bardock was in fact a low-class warrior, and asks, does that mean Gas was really weak? Monaito said it was just the opposite. Gas was very strong, and before we could go back to the flashback to seemingly see the end of that fight, the sky turns black. The group instantly notices the changing of the colors of the sky. Goku even comments that this is what happens when they summon Shenron on Earth. We pan back over to Alec, who has seemingly found the Dragon Ball really quickly, and has summoned Torumbo, the dragon of the Cerulean planet. Alec seems pretty surprised to be seeing a wish-granting dragon in the flesh. We pan over to the civilians, who also notice that it's mysteriously dark outside. And just like that, the sky clears up. Just as Goku and Vegeta are questioning about what just happened, they feel it. They both sense an enormous ki level, and that it's heading straight for them. And although Monaito has shown that he has pretty good ki control, he seemingly can't sense them right away. Granola can, and he recognizes the power. Just like that, they're there. Our heroes turn to see none other than Maki and Oil. Goku interrupts their greeting, saying they know the truth, and demands to know why they're there. Maki says that their plan is already in motion, and all that's left is to take out the trash. She then goads Granola, thanking him for his years of loyal service to the Heater Gang. A now enraged Granola accuses them of sending the Saiyans there to kill him. Maki says that they had no other choice after Granola shot up to the strongest in the universe by cheating and using a wish. She lets him know that he's not the only one who can wish for strength, and they announce the new strongest warrior in the universe, Gas. Gas slowly walks into frame, and we see him in his full power, and seemingly way taller? Okay, here's where I want to ask the first question of the week. What do you guys think the actual wish was? Was it to become the strongest? Was it height? Did they wish to fuse him with 7-3 that they captured in the earlier parts of the arc? Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Anyways, Granola asks if that's really even Gas, and Monaito exclaims that his fears have come true, and that they've used the Dragon Balls. Goku and Vegeta are shocked to hear that there are Dragon Balls on this planet, after just seeing the sky go dark? Anyways, Granola lets them know that he himself used the Dragon Balls earlier to become the strongest, which Goku says, well, that makes sense. Suddenly, with just the tip of his finger, Gas shoots a beam down in front, and with barely enough time for our heroes to dodge the attack, Gas looks up to see that his ship is now in two. Just then, with the same magic, it seems that Gas forms a trident or some kind of pitchfork, completely out of ki, which honestly makes me even more curious about the wish that they used. You see, earlier in the arc, when Granola and Gas had their little fight, Gas wasn't using any magic or any conjuring powers, just fisticuffs and grappling. Anyways, he uses his newly conjured pitchfork to pierce and stab Granola through both of his arms and legs, binding him to his now split ship. Gas is now walking toward the newly impaled Granola and tells him that he never liked him and that Gas was more than enough muscle for the Heaters and that he was useless. Even though Goku is tired and still fatigued from his previous fight with Granola, he can't watch as Granola gets killed and charges Gas. With the snap of his fingers, Gas covers Goku's arms and legs with magic-looking weights that drop him to the ground instantly. Honestly, I was halfway expecting Goku to just spring up with the weights on him. He's shown to have so much training and experience with weighted clothing and weights on his arms and legs that I thought it would have just made sense. But I understand that it's magic and that Goku's already exhausted, so fair enough. After pinning him to the ground, Gas recognizes Goku as Bardock's son. Oil confirms, saying that he heard them mention it earlier. Gas then asks if his father is still alive, and Vegeta tells him that they were all wiped out by Frieza, and that only a few Saiyans survived the purge. Maki says they will finish what Frieza started, and again, they'll take out the trash. Goku does what he usually does in these more desperate kind of situations and tries to reason with them, asking why they needed to kill him in the first place. Gas goes on to say that any threat to their plan must be eradicated. Just then, Gas forms a new key weapon, a giant axe, and swings to finish Goku. Just before the fatal blow can connect, Gas is shot in the back by Granola in his Cerulean sniper technique. Granola lets Gas know that the title of strongest in the universe still belongs to him, and in as much time as it took Gas to conjure a giant key-looking mace, he connects and sends him flying. But that's not it. Before he can recover, he's met with a flurry of strikes from Gas and his newly formed mace. Maki makes sure to let Granola know that since Gas's wish came after his, that he was obviously the new strongest. Gas again lets Granola know that he never saw value in Granola's strength. Minato then releases Goku from the magic weights with his own technique and offers to heal Goku's wounds. In exchange, Minato asks that Goku does what he can to try and save Granola. And as always, Goku says he'll do what he can. What we're left with is a desperate and enraged Granola, doing his best against Gas and demands answers to why he was allowed to live at all. Gas tells him he didn't know of the survival till years after the fall of Planet Cereal. Alec told them it would be a waste of resources to finish him, as he has already made a name as a pretty good bounty hunter. Just then, we flash back to see Kid Granola perfecting his technique with target practice. Alec is watching from above and comments that he's the bounty hunter who's been making all the waves lately. Minato exclaims that he can't have Granola, and Alec lets him know there's nothing he can really do to stop him. Minato then tells Alec that he couldn't tell him the truth about what happened to him and his family. If he did, he would run off on a half-baked revenge plot and get himself killed. So instead, he didn't tell him, and then Granola went off on a half-baked revenge plot and has almost gotten himself killed. Alec tells Minato that he will continue to keep his mouth shut and keep the truth from Granola, because if he blabs, Alec will kill them both, instantly. We then see Alec approaching Granola, praising his skills as a marksman and recruits him to work for the Heater Gang. We pan back to Goku hearing the story and being healed by Minato, lamenting that he should have just died by their hands back then instead of lying. Goku empathizes and says that he did the right thing, and that the Heaters are the bad guys in all of this. Minato is still distraught and says that he doesn't even live up to being a Namekian, as he cannot restore Goku's energy. And that's when it hits Goku. They still have one senzu bean left. We get a pretty comedic scene of Goku yelling at Vegeta for leaving the bean in his armor back in the Cerulean city he fought with Granola at. Just then, we see Granola's unconscious body being flung towards him. Goku thanks Minato for healing his wounds, and says that he will hold off Gas as long as he can, while Vegeta retrieves the senzu bean, and eats it upon finding it. Vegeta asks if he's serious, and Goku says it's really the only fair way to handle it, as he had already eaten one after being sniped by Granola earlier in the arc. Vegeta demands that Goku not die before he gets back, and before Goku heads off to fight Gas, he tells Vegeta after he gets the bean he can transform into freaky face mode again. An embarrassed Vegeta corrects him and says it's his ultra ego, and just like that, the Saiyans have gone their separate ways. Goku appears before Granola, just before Gas can finish him off. Suddenly, Gas turns his arm into a blade, Full Metal Alchemist style, and like most swords or blades being swung at Goku, he catches it with his bare hands. But not before turning Super Saiyan Blue. The powered up Goku then breaks the blade in half and says that he will not go down that easily. Goku then rushes in for some close quarters combat, and Gas creates a shield on his arm that blocks Goku's volley of attacks. Which brings me back to the wish question. Is his body not the strongest? Why does he need the shield? Anyways, Goku keeps at him and fires a ki blast. only to have Gas appear directly behind him with the biggest Harley Quinn mallet I've seen this side of DC. The mallet connects with Goku's head and he's sent flying back. Watching the fight, Maki says they might have not needed to use the wish at all, as the Saiyans, and Granola for that matter, are not very intimidating. Just then, Oil notices that Vegeta has fled, and we pan to see him arrive at the city ruins where him and Granola had fought. Luckily, Vegeta finds the armor and finds the bean intact. We return to the fight to see a battle-damaged Goku being bested once again by another one of Gas's new weapon. Goku takes a serious blow and then is knocked out of Super Saiyan Blue. Just then, we see Vegeta arrive in front of Granola, who has now regained consciousness. He presents the bean to Granola and tells him to eat it. He explains that it will restore his energy. Granola is shocked to hear that he's had this with him the whole time. Why didn't he use it before, during their battle? And in typical Vegeta fashion, he lets him know that that would have been the coward's way out, and that he never would operate like that. He then demands that Granola eats the bean and rejoins the fray. He reminds him that his revenge must be satisfied, and that he needs to do this himself. And if anyone in this story knows anything about a revenge mission, it's Vegeta. And that concludes Chapter 78 of the Dragon Ball Super manga. Again, what do you guys think about the wish? Do you think it was used to make Gas the strongest? Also, when do you think Frieza's gonna show up? When does he play a role in all this? Leave a comment below, and we'll see you next month. Thanks, guys.